In the deepest levels of a classified digital archive at NASA, a place where thousands of forgotten mission files sleep in silence, a scientist scrolling through decades of lunar mission data suddenly stops. On his screen appears a file name that should not exist. It carries no mission label, no official reference, only a cryptic title, Lunar Surface, Restricted. Curious, he opens it. The first image loads slowly. At first it looks like an ordinary photograph of the moon's surface taken during one of the Apollo missions. But then something strange appears in the corner of the frame. A shape. Perfectly geometric. Sharp angles. Casting a shadow that no natural rock formation should produce. The scientist freezes. Because in that moment, he realizes something terrifying. This file was never meant to be seen. And whatever is in these images, might change everything we believe about the moon. Visual suggestion, dimly lit archive room, computer screens glowing, close-up of a scientist's face illuminated by lunar imagery, slow zoom into a mysterious structure on the moon. For more than half a century, NASA has collected an unimaginable amount of data about the moon. Thousands of photographs taken during the Apollo missions, satellite scans, topographic maps, and high-resolution images captured by orbiting probes. These archives represent decades of exploration, scientific curiosity, and technological achievement. Yet like many vast databases, they contain forgotten corners. Old directories. Mislabeled files. Data that was never revisited after the missions ended. Deep within this immense digital labyrinth, a researcher studying lunar surface anomalies while comparing old Apollo photographs with modern satellite imagery stumbles upon something unusual. A folder hidden behind several layers of archived mission records. The folder contains only a handful of files. No description. No metadata. Just images. He opens the first photograph. The image appears to be taken from orbit, showing a wide section of the moon's surface near the far side, a region rarely photographed during the early missions. The landscape is covered with craters, ridges, and the familiar gray dust of the lunar regolith. But near the center of the image something interrupts the chaotic natural terrain. A formation with straight edges. Angles that look almost mathematical, unlike the irregular shapes created by impact craters or collapsed rock formations. The shadows cast by the object stretch across the surface in long, precise lines. The scientist leans closer to the screen. His training tells him that nature almost never produces perfect symmetry on this scale. Especially not on a world shaped by billions of years of meteor impacts. He opens the next image. This time the photograph is closer to the surface. The camera angle suggests it may have been taken by an Apollo mission module during orbit. The same formation appears again, but now it is clearer. Several tall shapes rise from the lunar surface like towers or pillars. The sunlight strikes their edges, creating sharp contrasts between light and shadow. The geometry looks unnatural. Too structured. Too deliberate. The scientist's heartbeat begins to accelerate. He pulls up reference photographs from the Apollo missions, searching for anything similar. Lunar mountains are jagged. Craters are circular. Lava formations are chaotic. But nothing resembles what he is seeing in these hidden images. Visual suggestion, overlay comparison between Apollo mission photos and the mysterious structures, slow panning across lunar terrain. As he continues examining the images, more details emerge. Some photographs appear to show enormous rectangular shapes partially buried beneath lunar dust. Others reveal patterns of parallel lines extending across the surface as if something once stood there long ago and slowly eroded under millions of years of micrometeorite impacts. One image in particular stops him cold. It shows what looks like a massive arch-like structure casting a long shadow across the lunar ground. The structure appears too large to be a simple rock formation. If the scale markers in the image are correct, the arch could be hundreds of meters wide. At first, the scientist assumes the images must be altered or misinterpreted. Digital artifacts sometimes create illusions. Camera distortions can generate strange shapes. So he begins a careful analysis. He studies the pixel structure, the lighting angles, the shadows relative to the sun's position during the mission. Everything appears consistent with genuine photographs taken in lunar orbit. There are no signs of manipulation. The scientist then compares the coordinates embedded in the images with publicly available lunar maps. Something strange emerges. The location of the structures lies in a region of the moon rarely photographed during the early missions and largely ignored for decades. A region near the far side where communication with Earth becomes more difficult. A place that very few missions have explored in detail. Visual suggestion, animated map of the moon rotating, highlighting the far side region where the anomalies appear. Days pass as the scientist continues investigating the mysterious images. He consults geological databases, searching for any known lunar formation that could explain the shapes. Some researchers over the years have suggested that unusual lighting conditions on the moon can create illusions of artificial structures. Shadows stretching across crater walls can resemble towers or pyramids. But the images in this file are different. Multiple photographs from different angles show the same shapes, the same geometric patterns, the same shadows. File access restricted. Do not distribute. The scientist leans back in his chair. If these images were studied before, why were they hidden? Why were they never included in public mission reports? Why did no scientific paper ever mention these formations? Visual suggestion, computer screen showing redacted documents and restricted access warnings. The implications of such a discovery would be enormous. If artificial structures truly exist on the moon, it would mean that humanity is not the first intelligent presence to shape the surface of another world. It would suggest that somewhere in the distant past, another civilization possessed the technology to travel through space and build monuments beyond their home planet. Such a revelation would transform science, history, philosophy, and our understanding of our place in the universe. But it would also raise frightening questions. Who built them? When? And where are they now? The scientist saves copies of the images and continues analyzing them late into the night. Outside the window, the moon hangs silently in the sky above Earth. A pale gray world that humanity has gazed at for thousands of years. A world we thought we understood. Yet perhaps we only explored its surface. Perhaps its greatest secrets remain hidden in shadows we have barely studied. Visual suggestion, night sky shot with the moon slowly rising over Earth. In the end, one final thought begins to haunt the scientist's mind. If these images were hidden once before, how many other discoveries might still be buried inside the archives of space agencies around the world? How many secrets remain locked away in classified files? And if the structures on the moon are real, then the most unsettling question of all may not be whether we are alone in the universe. The real question might be this: did someone reach the moon, long before we ever did? One evening, while adjusting the contrast levels of a high-resolution image, the scientist notices something even more disturbing. Beneath the lunar dust surrounding one of the structures, faint lines appear. Straight lines intersecting at precise angles. Almost like the remains of a massive grid or foundation buried beneath the surface. He increases the image resolution. The lines become clearer. For a moment he simply stares at the screen. Because if those lines are real, they suggest something extraordinary. They suggest design. And design implies intelligence. Visual suggestion, zoom into the image revealing faint grid patterns beneath lunar dust. The possibility that the moon might contain artificial structures has existed mostly in the realm of speculation for decades. Some fringe theories claim that ancient civilizations once built structures on the moon. Others propose that extraterrestrial intelligence may have visited our solar system long before humanity existed. Most scientists dismiss these ideas as pseudoscience. The moon, according to everything we know, is a natural satellite formed billions of years ago after a massive collision between Earth and another planetary body. But the images in the file raise uncomfortable questions. What if something was built there long ago? What if those structures existed before recorded human history? Or perhaps, before humanity itself. The scientist begins comparing the shapes with known human engineering patterns. Rectangular symmetry. Parallel structures. Repeating angles. Some of the formations resemble ruins, not intact buildings, but fragments of something that might once have stood much taller. Over millions of years, micrometeorites constantly bombard the moon's surface, slowly eroding anything exposed. Structures could collapse. Dust could bury them. What remains today might only be faint outlines of something far older. Visual suggestion, cinematic reconstruction of ancient structures standing on the moon billions of years ago. As the investigation deepens, the scientist begins to notice something else hidden within the archive folder. A series of short text documents attached to the images. The documents appear incomplete, as if parts were removed or redacted. But several lines remain readable. One line reads, "Surface anomalies confirmed during orbital pass." Another states, "Further analysis recommended before public release." And then one final note, written in a different format, almost like an internal warning.